So what I would like to do in this video is review some notes about this eclipse. The first thing that's interesting is simply that there was an eclipse. It was a solar eclipse. So this is the moon eclipsing the sun. The very interesting thing about the eclipse is that it was very close to the southern solstice, which means that the sun is at the furthest southern declination. Another thing to note is that at this day and age, the sun at its southernmost declination is in Mula, which is a constellation or nakshatra which has its primary stars, Tarabala, at the southernmost section of the nakshatra circle, and hence is called Mula, or the root, or the bottom. So far we've got the points that it was an eclipse, it was a solar eclipse, it was a solar eclipse at the southernmost declination, which at this day and age it will be in Mula, which is the southernmost nakshatra. It was an eclipse at Ketu rather than Rahu, and Ketu is the southern node. So it's the southernmost declination, southernmost nakshatra with the southern node. So we have a very southerly eclipse occurring in conjunction with the most southerly stars, and we should note that the symbolism for the south is death, because here we're talking about the celestial, not terrestrial south. The celestial south is always down, and therefore it has that signification. One other interesting thing to take into consideration is that the eclipse occurred at 4 degrees Capricorn with the southern node at 8 degrees Capricorn. So this may be what Varaha Mihira describes in Brihat Samhita as an eclipse occurring before it's expected. And he says the eclipses which occur before they are expected bring worse results than you expect. This eclipse occurred in Capricorn. People are trying to wrap their heads around how Mula would be in Capricorn. It's because we're talking about tropical Capricorn, because when we talk about signs, we talk tropical. The point that is interesting, however, is that Jupiter was involved. And the extent to which Jupiter was involved is something that I think would be very good for astrologers to think about the details of, so that we could learn how to pay attention to these various details. So Jupiter was involved in the eclipse, first of all, by obvious conjunction. Jupiter was at 5 degrees 20 minutes of Capricorn, and the sun and moon aligned with each other at 4 degrees of Capricorn. So Jupiter was within 1 degree, basically, of the eclipse, and the southern node was at 8 degrees of Capricorn. So it was in 3 degrees of the southern node. But that's not the only factor. When you talk about conjunctions, you need to think about not just longitude or the zodiac degree, but also the latitude or the declination. As I mentioned, the sun and the moon and Ketu were at their southernmost declination, and Jupiter was also at its southernmost declination. It was at 23 degrees south. The sun was at also 23 degrees south. So Jupiter was in combustion with the sun, emerging from the combustion. Typically, emergence from combustion is supposed to be a good thing. But consider here that Jupiter is debilitated in emerging from the combustion, and furthermore, while Jupiter emerges from the combustion, the eclipse occurs. This, to me, is very significant in my mind. This is the trigger point, especially because Jupiter is very sensitive in China's chart. China has Jupiter in Capricorn in its 12th house. So that is the eclipse that signaled the beginning of the pandemic. The virus existed before the pandemic, slightly before, but it became a pandemic in conjunction with this eclipse. So to review, the pandemic broke out in connection with an eclipse of the sun at the southernmost point of the sun's orbit, at the southern solstice, in Mula, the southernmost nakshatra, with Ketu, the southern node, southerly node, and most importantly, Jupiter was exactly conjoined by declination and longitude. It was exactly conjoined to this eclipse and debilitated. And possibly something else to consider is that Saturn, the lord of this sign, was also there. One last point that may be important, and I hope astrologers will keep on their list of things to look at in the future, is that this eclipse occurred while the nodes were stationary. One brief note looking forward also is that after Jupiter emerges from combustion, the next point of retrogression is fairly significant, according to Varaha Mihira. Jupiter's next point of retrogression, or its next station, is going to be close to the border of Aquarius, tropically. So it is not going to get out of Capricorn. This is something we have to kind of worry about. My intuitive interpretation on that, quick interpretation on that would be that this pandemic would unfold in waves, so that it will appear to recede and then come back, and then recede and then come back, at least 3 times in 3 major ones. Perhaps we've already seen the first and second of those waves, because we've seen it ebb significantly in China and then arise in Europe. And we are looking, hopefully, in the next week to see the ebb occur in Europe as the wave crests in the United States. I hope that the points that I brought up here help explain how to interpret eclipses of great significance, because obviously this one was an eclipse of great significance. Thank you very much for watching.
Jagadambe Janani Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Triambake Devi Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Shanti